Salutations everyone and welcome to my first Marvel Rivals video. I got a comment a couple weeks ago asking if I would do some Marvel Rivals content. I thought sure, why not? It's a hero shooter, much like Overwatch, so there's bound to be some similarities, some crossover. But it is its own unique game. It's fun, so if that's all you wanted to know, is it fun? Is it good? Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's good. It deserves to exist. Overwatch doesn't need to be the only hero shooter in the game. It kind of has been for a while, but there's always been a seat at the table. Those seats have been remained unoccupied. There have been attempts, but they have been short-lived. But I still think Overwatch will reign supreme. I don't know if Marvel Rivals is going to exist for a lengthy period of time, but let's hope so, and it doesn't receive the fate that so many other games have, even Marvel games. A lot of people thought, oh, of course this game was going to be successful. It's Marvel. We've had 3 Marvel games in the last 3 years that a lot of money was spent on, and they were all commercial failures. So it was not a guarantee. But obviously, it's going to get immediate eyeballs on it because of, the characters that we like, new art style, stylized. It's a hero shooter, and 6v6. There's no role queue. You have your tanks, your healers, and your damage that we're all used to seeing. And it's a new game. It's a new game, so with that is going to come with all the things a new game has. When it comes to people's enjoyment, people tend to believe, it's not necessarily true if they really think about it, but people tend to believe that games are always the best when they first start. Because you listen to any community in any multiplayer competitive game, they're always like, oh man, when this game first started, that's when it was best. Those were the golden days. And it's all because of the same reason. It's because nobody knew how to play those games. That's why people thought they were the best, because everybody was bad at it. Nobody was good, so you weren't getting absolutely destroyed by characters that people practice and figured out, or team comps that people figured were the best, or, really strong in certain situations. And so your win rate, no matter how bad you are, is probably going to be 50% because it's going to be the most random at the beginning. And when it's most random, it's going to be the most chaotic, most disorganized, and people are going to be playing at their worst. So people enjoy that the most, no matter what game, no matter what genre. If it's a multiplayer game, people always tend to think it's best when it launches. So if you're in that boat, enjoy it while you can, because the game has some flaws, but it's a good game. And when you want to compare it to Overwatch, some of the best things about Overwatch that you want every game to have, this game has. I'm talking about the options, the customization when it comes to how certain abilities are activated or assisted or unassisted, changing the size and color and shape of your reticles, having different sensitivities for individual characters or individual abilities. All that stuff is great, and a lot of the UI and things look like they're straight out of Overwatch. We got the history, the replay mode, replays that you can see, the history, all that. We got competitive. You have to hit level 10 in order to start competing in competitive, but it's available right now. And there's going to be tournaments apparently in client, and I think this game has a future, and I think it's good, and I think it's fun, and it scratches a different itch than Overwatch while being similar in that it's it's a 6v6 hero shooter. Overwatch is 5v5, at least for now, and all the same types of objectives that we're all used to, but completely different maps that appeal to different types of play styles and characters. But just a caveat here, if you're watching other content creators, which I assume you are, other streamers or YouTubers or what have you, a lot of them are going to be throwing out a lot of opinions, and I would say do not listen to them. If you see even some of the best players in the world, maybe they're top 500 in another game, or maybe they're top 500 this game, if they have a tier list, it's wrong. I guarantee you it's wrong. In 2-3 months from now, they will admit that it was completely wrong, because guess what? It's a new game, and nobody knows how to play. People aren't going to figure out a game this big in a couple of hours, in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks. That's just, it's not possible. It's not a thing that's ever happened in a game. Remember, Overwatch was a game that took the best players in the world that were paid a lot of money to figure out how to win, took them years and years and years to figure out that the best thing to do was 3 tanks and 3 supports. It took all the best players in the world years to figure that out. So if you are watching somebody who's like, all right, what you want to do is a 3-2-1 or a 2-2-2, or I mean, it's probably GOATS because, you know, it's still an objective-based game, and mathematically that makes the most sense. You want to be on an objective and don't die, so just put things that are hard to kill and make sure they don't die. But maybe not. Maybe it's something completely different. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was the same. You know, the GOATS meta was very, very strong and unbeatable, so much so that they had to change the rules to the entire game in Overwatch. And so I wouldn't believe people, you know, their tier list or how they say you need to play the game. Don't believe them. They're wrong. I guarantee they're wrong. They're always wrong. I'm not going to do it because I would be wrong. I'm probably playing all the characters on screen incorrectly right now. Like, I'm not moving as much as I should as Rocket Raccoon. Or, you know, I'm not using an ability at the exact right time that I should be, or in combination with another ability like I will a week from now or a month from now, right? Nobody really knows how to play. I don't care if you have 80 or 100 hours in this game. You don't know what's best yet because nobody does. It's going to take time. We will figure it out. We will figure it out what will be best for our regular pub games, what's going to be best for, you know, our top favorite streamers that we watch. And if there is a pro scene, which I don't know if there will be, but if there is, they'll have a completely different meta and a completely new set of rules. So just take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. If someone says that Spider-Man is D tier, don't believe them, because someone just as good as that person is going to say Spider-Man's S tier because he goes 25-3 every game. He's just hard to learn, but he's absolutely unstoppable. So yeah, you watch somebody who says, okay, this is Magneto and this is how you should play Magneto, and I think Magneto is really good. That's fine and dandy. But if you hear somebody say, here's the tier list, these characters are good, these characters are bad, don't play them, don't listen to that. Someone says, oh, you have to play 2-2-2 or you have to play 3-2-1. I just wouldn't listen to that. Just play what you feel like playing, and if you want to win, just pick a healer or a tank, because of course everybody's picking DPS characters because it's a video game, and it doesn't matter what video game it is or what genre of video game it is. If it has roles like damage and tank and healer, and some of them have other different roles, damage is always going to be by far the most popular by hundreds and thousands of a percentile, and that's not going to change here. It's always going to have the most amount of characters in that role. So of course more than half of Marvel Rivals' cast is damage characters, so even if people are just trying to try everybody out, most of the time they're going to play damage. So if you're interested in winning, play a healer, play a tank, learn 2 of each. There's not that many to choose from, so it's going to be easy to narrow those down. But yeah, I would recommend go into the practice range and play every character for a couple of minutes, just so you know what all of them do, because you want to know what all the abilities are when you see an enemy do it, when you see your teammate do it. You want to know how best to complement or combat that, or when to get out of the way, or when you should attack, what you should try to CC or interrupt or what have you. So yeah. And you'll be able to get a feel with what feels good, what feels fun. Like, I went in there, I was like, all right, Luna Snow, this is easy to learn. This is fun. All right, this is how I should play Mantis. Oh, Moon Knight, that feels really fun. Oh, Hawkeye, of course. I always go to the bow and arrow characters, so he's going to be super duper natural for me. And, oh, you know, Iron Man, you know, he's a flyer, so this is how I should, you know, do with that. It's a third person 6v6 game, and characters have a lot of abilities, more so than characters in Overwatch. So the game is very chaotic. There's a lot of screen clutter, and there's a lot of things that you're going to have to learn to recognize and deal with. It's just going to take some time, but the game is fun. It scratches a different itch than Overwatch, and if that's your jam, that's awesome. When it comes to the competitiveness of the game, it definitely feels very different, and the game is different in that sense. I think it has a lower skill floor, Marvel Rivals is a much easier game to get into if like you want to bring in some friends that didn't like Overwatch or didn't play it or left it a long time ago, or players that are, kind of, apprehensive about doing a competitive PvP multiplayer game. This is a much easier game to get them into. The skill floor is a lot lower. It's not as stressful, I guess you could say, as an Overwatch game, but the skill ceiling is also lower. Some characters are going to be more complicated, but most of the characters are going to be pretty straightforward for the most part, and the ceiling is just lower. I feel like Overwatch is going to be is just a much more competitive game. It's a more complex strategic kind of game than Marvel Rivals is, and I think that's on purpose, and I think a lot of people will enjoy that about Marvel Rivals, that it's less competitive, it's less serious, it's less stressful, and it's going to feel like that even more so right now because it's new and nobody's very good and it's very chaotic. Tanks don't know how to tank if they haven't played tank in another game before. Some healers I've seen just don't heal, and obviously most people are picking damage, so the majority of your games there's going to be 3 or 4, maybe 5 people who are trying to pick damage. I of course, I'm a person who wants to win, so almost all the time I'm going to be playing healer or tank. I've only been able to play a damage character like twice so far. Most of my games tend to be 3-2-1, 3 DPS, 2 healers, and 1 tank. I know they have their own names, but that's what we're going to call them anyway, these roles. Strategists and duelists and big men. I don't know. I don't know what the tank's called, to be honest. But yeah, that's what most of my games tend to be. But obviously not every game is going to be the same, but I could easily see that the team with the least amount of damage characters is going to be the better team, because of course it is. And you're not going to see that very often, but when I am in a game and one team has more healers than the other team, the team with the more healers wins every single time. They've won every single time if they had more healers. If a team had more tanks than the other team, the team with more tanks won every single time except for one game. There was only one game where a team that had less tanks won, but they had the same amount of healers. So yeah, it's an objective-based game. Let's not, forget how these games are played, even though some people are completely ignoring the objective, but I don't know what their gaming history is like, if they're used to playing objectives or not. But it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a huge roster of 33 immediately available characters, and some of them are, very beloved characters that we've known for a long time, and some newer ones that we finally get to play in a video game. Like, we've never been able to play a game or able to be Jeff the baby land shark, moving around and doing stuff, or Luna Snow. She's a relatively newer character, and I believe the first time she's playable. I think this is the first time Moon Knight's been playable. I mean, he's been more of a C-list character for the past 40 years, but, obviously got a TV show and is now much more in the spotlight and is a very fun character to play. Some people say way too strong, and I haven't seen a lot of complaints about particular characters. Mostly people are complaining about Iron Fist because he can fly in and kill you instantly, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what a lot of Marvel Rivals feels like. Some people are going to like that. Some people are not going to like that. Is that there are a lot of matchups, especially when it comes to supports versus anything else, where that squishy character is going to lose 100% of the time. If you're, Mantis against Venom, you lose. There's nothing that you can do to outplay them. You're just straight up going to lose, and nothing can change that. And if Iron Fist comes at you and you're, Rocket, and if you try to fly away or crawl up and he just flying kicks you and then punches you 1,000 times, there's nothing you can do about that. There's no counter play to that. So it's not as balanced, obviously, in Overwatch as the overall design of the game. It's not designed to be as balanced. We have the hero team up mechanics, which give you power ups to your abilities or give you brand new abilities just being on the same team as another character, which on the face of it is just unbalanced because not every character is going to have that, and those team up powers are going to be completely different in their applicability and power level. And the game, it's just not going to be balanced. There's going to be patches, there's going to be buffs and nerfs, sure. I don't think there's going to be as much as a game like Overwatch when it comes to trying to keep things the most balanced and looking at the metadata and win rates and numbers and things like that. They're going to more go based on vibes, which obviously Overwatch does most of the time, unfortunately, as well. But the game it's going to get balance changes, I'm sure, but it's not going to be as balanced as a game like Overwatch. Some people are going to like that, and that's totally fine. It's a completely different game. It feels different. It plays different, even though they're both competitive hero shooters with an objective, right? So you're going to have your similarities, but the game feels completely different. It's the battle pass in the game isn't very good. The cosmetics aren't that good. I know almost all of them are based off of movie skins, which kind of handcuffs you and what you can do creatively. It's whatever. And people were like, oh, the cosmetics in Marvel's Rivals is so much better and they're so much cheaper, even though they're the exact same price. And the Overwatch ones are obviously more polished and better. But, you know, that it's possible that can change over time. This is just the initial battle pass and initial shop skins, and they will get better, and we'll get new characters, and that's going to be fun. Hopefully more tanks, hopefully more supports. We don't need any more DPS, but it makes sense. Most comic book characters are going to be punching and fighting people in their comics, so yeah, most of them are going to be easier to make into damage characters. But it's a fun game. It feels good. It's responsive. You instantly queue into a match, and there's no server issues on my side. There are some glitches and some errors, and hopefully some of those things will get patched and fixed up. Just like any new game, it's not immune to anything that any new game goes through. But yeah, I don't feel like it's going to dethrone Overwatch. You could show me the streaming numbers right now and go like, haha, look, it's better, and Overwatch is dead. That's cute and whatever, but that's not going to last. Overwatch was in a lull, and it's the end of a season, and now we have a new season coming out with a brand new character. And it's the hot new thing. The hot new thing always gets more instant viewers anyway, but hopefully it's able to hold an audience and hold a player base, so it's not a game that gets thrown away 6 months from now, a year or 2 from now. I want it to exist and be its own game and be fun. A small part of me was hoping it wasn't very good, so I wouldn't feel like I needed to play yet another game every single day or every single week. But no, it's fun, it's good, and I'm going to keep coming back to it. At least for the interim, because I feel like it's a fun enough game to play, and it's different enough from Overwatch to add variety and have a bunch of new fun characters to get to know and love.